Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Trades Talk. I'm here with a special guest, Jamie Royce, founder and CEO of MindCloud. We're going to be talking all about AI, automation, how to get your business to run a little bit smoother and get rid of some of that friction. So, Jamie, welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much, Justin. Great to be here. I've always heard about you and your show, so it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you on. We've had so many great guests on talking about software. And the biggest question that most landscape or trades companies have is, well, how does this software integrate with my existing tech stack? And I think you guys have made that problem really solvable. So I want to talk a little bit about who is MindCloud, or what is MindCloud? You guys started this in 2021. You're the founder, CEO, first time starting a business. Walk us through a little bit of, maybe your background, and then what led you to ultimately take that jump into entrepreneurism and start this business, MindCloud.
Nice. Well, I'll start early. As a kid growing up, I'm an artist. I'm creative. I have a crazy, wild imagination. And as a kid, that would get me in trouble. I'd always be, thinking beyond the rules and beyond, what people are expecting me to do. I'm always thinking of something else, how I can do something faster, how I can, not really cut corners, but just do things in a better way so that I could spend more time doing stuff that I want to do. When I first started working in my first professional position, I ended up having to do something technical. I didn't know anything about anything. I couldn't even use, back then it wasn't even Word. There was a thing called Quark Express. It was some word editor type of thing. And, I saw some guy next to me doing all these macros and copy and pasting and filling out the thing super fast. How does he do that? What are all these little, cool little tricks you can do? And always love the concept of automating manual tasks. So no matter what I was doing, I just had this draw towards computers and automating things. And wherever I could, I would make my job easier, do some little simple thing that made it more efficient. And I would have more time to do other stuff that I wanted to do. So I ended up getting into database design, database integration, really kind of a natural progression because I was figuring out different ways to use computers. I was not professionally trained. It was all on the job training. I had to do some big database integration, connecting systems from all over the world to one master SQL database. And Wow. They didn't have APIs. There was barely internet. The internet just came out before. This is 2001. And I'm there trying to, connect all this stuff somehow. So a mix of FTP site downloads to, batch scripting to direct SQL imports and running different scripts and stuff, managed to set up this whole kind of spaghetti type integration back there 20 some odd years ago. Kept doing that kind of stuff throughout my career. During COVID, just to fast forward, had the opportunity, everybody's working from home already. I was working at a job as really their technical project manager. I was running API projects for this big tax company that now is Avalara. You probably heard of Avalara.
Okay.
So I was working, doing tax integration management. So anyway, I was in charge of hiring dev teams to build integrations for customers. And I was like, these are taking 6 months, so much money. It's seemingly so complicated, but then when you actually look at it, it's doing a simple thing of taking this, putting it there, doing a calculation and returning it back. But this thing's taking 20, 30, 40 weeks to implement and put into a system. And that, for some reason, I guess that's just the way I'm wired, that just irks me. Something that takes so long, why does it need to take that long when at the end of the day, you're just doing this simple little thing? So anyway, my growth at that company was kind of limited. There wasn't much of a future there. So I transitioned off. During the next few months, I wanted to do something on my own. I didn't know what I was going to do. A lot of skills in this technical world, but I didn't know about API integration, automation. I didn't even know there was an industry for it.
Right.
I was asking friends, asking people I knew, what problems do they have that I could solve with my skills? and kind of just stumbled into it. You know, the first few, I talked to a construction company, small, very small company, and they were doing this manual process of every time the salesman would go out, he would have to scan or take a picture of the estimate that he gave the customer, and then somebody else would have to type it in, and then it would go to this other person who would then copy it over, and then they could finally send the quote to the customer. And I was like, oh, I can probably automate that for you. Let me try. So I built a little thing. He now had a form, and it automatically uploaded. And then all of a sudden, this little simple process was automated for this company. The only problem is it wasn't the right market. So I'm dealing with like a very small company, and they maybe were willing to pay, you know, a few bucks a month for something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm trying all these different things of like, what is a need out there? I did find a need. This kind of manual process, automating it was definitely a need, but I didn't have the right audience. So then the next year was really finding that right audience, and stumbled onto a few that were just, you know, total winners, the right product market fit, you know, and it just was magic. You know, first customer, he wanted this, and then within a couple months, he wanted that much more. Pretty soon, we're doing, you know, almost $100,000 of business with one customer that is needing this exact same repeatable type of thing. And, you know, fast forward, it was just, how do you repeat that? How do you now find more people like that and less people like this other one that didn't work so well? So that's kind of how we started. A few years later, we're at 52 staff, over 300 customers. We just hit our 3 million annual recurring revenue.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Yeah, we have huge, crazy goals for 2026. So, yeah, that's kind of my story, how I got to here. Automation, AI, this whole world is just so exciting. It's the Wild West. Right now, like AI, ChatGPT, AI agents, there's so much happening, but people don't even know what to do. And, you know, you got the social media people that are all promoting all this different stuff. But then I get to see where the rubber meets the road, what actual people need, what that they will pay for, and that will actually help improve their businesses. So anyway, it's, as you probably could tell, I'm pretty passionate about this area. I love doing, super excited.
Well, it's something that I share that passion in. I think this is a opportunity where so many people want to integrate AI and automate their systems and remove manual work, but they're just not sure where to start. And they're not sure, okay, what are the first few things that I'd change? I mean, getting ChatGPT to write your emails a little bit better is definitely a start, but it's not like going to replace a full-time employee with that. Or should I say, you know, I don't want to say we're going to replace team members, but it's more like augment our team member and help grow the business with the same staff. So how are you guys seeing companies integrate, or should I say innovate and use AI to automate certain things within the business that are really showing good returns? Like, what are some of those case studies that you guys are most proud of that you guys have been able to help companies grow?
Yeah, nice. I'll give a couple examples. One of our customers, and I can't mention their names for competition reasons, but they had this idea to take all of their drivers, their a delivery service for high value items like tens of thousands of dollars delivery, where the delivery staff do upsells. When they arrive at the door, they deliver the work, they have conversations, they follow up, and they upsell. So they're also salesmen, right?
Yep.
So this team of truck drivers, they don't have access to the CRM. They don't have access to all the history of what happened, and they're on their route for the day. So they got to remember in their head or keep papers of all the information about, or a tablet that connects to it. But we made this AI, kind of like a custom ChatGPT, that they can talk to, and it automatically reads into their database, pulls their route, So all of their information for their personal route, they put in their driver ID. It says, here's your 19 routes. And then you can ask questions like now you're in ChatGPT style. So you can say, okay, tell me about my first one. And then it'll read the customer notes. It'll summarize things. It'll pull any important information that you're supposed to remember. Like, oh yeah, this guy's kid just, was going to Little League and he had a game last week that he mentioned. So you're like, oh, okay. So when I start, I'm going to say, hey, how's that Little League game? Or whatever. Talks about order history. So it kind of empowered their sales team. And that's been a couple of years already. That was like right when ChatGPT, the ability to use custom GPTs came out. So we built a simple little wrapper around their CRM, their database, their route software, and made it so you could talk to it. So that was like a really simple but super powerful example of an agent type setup that you can talk to and you can get immediate value. And it's not just a marketing PR gimmick.
Yeah, that's such a great example because as most of us know who have worked in the field, when you're out in the field, you have this like disconnect from your information that you normally would have at your office or your desktop. And it's like, wait, what's that information again? What the client, say? And being able to ask an AI agent and get that information in real time, especially in a like a voice to text situation where you're on the road and you're headed to the next client, you're like, hey, tell me a bit about Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I'm going to be there in 10 minutes. What do I need to know to provide them with that, white glove service where they're really, really happy and they become raving fans of the business. And I think that's just a great opportunity. And I think a lot of people probably listening are starting to turn the gears in their head of how they could utilize something as simple as that to help automate their sales team or their field team. So can you tell me specifically, like maybe not in this case, but when you're building a wrapper for ChatGPT and then or building a wrapper around a CRM and connecting that data to some type of an agent, what are some of those things that you could ask? I mean, is it to the point where you could ask, hey, tell me about this person's, you mentioned order history. How much did they buy in the last year from our company? Is that something that you could get an answer for?
Yeah.
Cool.
The secret to it is like, if you're somebody who has a database backend experience, in the backend, all it's doing is a query. It's going to do some query. If you can query it, you can ask a ChatGPT the same thing. So then the middle layer is translating your natural language into a query, and then you're passing a query to the data set or an API call. So as long as you can, it is a different mindset. You do need to think like a developer or think like a database. How would you talk to a database? There's only a certain number of type of commands that you can ask. You can sum things, you can group them, you can get averages of things, as long as you can access the data, then you can also pass that to your AI to then analyze and do other cool things. Like, so that example, how are my sales over the last year? And then analyze it and tell me what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. So
Nice.
My AI would go to your, let's say, HubSpot, grab all of your deals based on your email address or user ID, pull up the notes, pull up your closed won ratios, pull up any other information, what the product was, what the line items, all that information would then be back in ChatGPT. And just like you could do a ChatGPT, you could dump that data manually and do the same kind of queries. But now you can have prompts that are built or baked into your agent that can just give you your answers back. And then they're like, hey, Justin, so what you did really good at last year was blah, blah, blah. What you kind of were failing on is blah, blah, blah. And based on this, here's a program for you to improve.
Wow. So, yeah.
Right there, you just brought so much value to a sales team with one simple automation workflow with an AI agent on it.
Yeah. And then you're creating measurable improvement on the business. Whereas in that situation, example, you would need a sales leader or sales manager to review that data on a regular basis and to basically translate all of this data into actionable steps to improve. And I think probably what I see a lot of times is, hey, when you're when the time between when you get the lead or opportunity to when you provide them with a proposal is more than 7 days, your close rate drops to 10%. And when you provide a proposal within 3 days, your close rate 60%. So let's start getting proposals out quicker. And
Boom.
what you're doing, right? That's I love that example because I every time I've ran data, I've found that to be true. And what Jamie, what you guys are doing, it sounds like, is you're taking the language that database speaks, and then
Yeah.
you're taking the language that humans speak, and you're basically like, if I'm getting
I
this
like it.
right, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're like translating the languages so that you can take a basic human input and change
Yeah.
that into, database speak, and then analyze that and then spit back out a response that the human can then understand and take action on. Am I kind of uh, defining what you guys are doing at a basic level?
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good example. It expands a little bit more because databases are one thing and queries are pretty flexible. You can kind of query
Okay.
anything that if you threw out 10 different things, I could write a query and get you that data with database language. But APIs are a little different. APIs, some programmer built, like, I know you know Aspire. So Aspire has
Yeah.
APIs that do exact things. They only do that exact thing. So you have to now not just know the language of the database, now you have to know the language of Aspire. So if
Right.
you're not an expert in the language of Aspire's API, then you're going to have a hard time even knowing how you can talk to and what you can ask, what you can say, what you can do. So the value that MindCloud brings is we are wrapping every popular app on the internet, from AI to databases to software platforms like Aspire and other tools. And we are putting that expert knowledge into a wrapper that then is a universal language that anything can talk to. So if we've got now 400 things that we've wrapped into our
Wow.
universal language that AI or natural language speak can talk to, now instantly you have that ability to have a conversation with your data, with your tech stack, and be like, so how are my new hires doing? How many people did we offload last month? Of those people that we offloaded, did any of them have a decent sales track? What were their sales history of all the offloads we did in the last year? Are there any people that I should be hiring back? All these type of questions all of a sudden can go into translated into, just like somebody would in your HR department and your sales leader. They'd have to collaborate, have a meeting, pull up a bunch of reports, and then a week or two later come back with the answers. But now all that kind of stuff is all at your fingertips, and you can then just start asking questions and get like instant access to the most powerful type of insights. Very exciting because every day more and more apps come out on the internet, and
Yeah.
more agents are coming out. And pretty soon, I was going to mention this, there's this concept of agent sprawl. Like, people are building all these different agents and they're all supposed to do these great little things. But then at the end of the day, you end up with nothing talks to each other. And then you end up
Yep.
with more manual data entry and data silos than you had 20 years ago. So the whole point of all this is MindCloud is creating the universal language where all things on the internet will be able to talk to each other.
Oh,
And
man.
that is where we're going. And I'll tell you a little bit more a little bit later, but we're set up right now where paying customers, we build whatever, like they have a new app, somebody has a new app we've never heard of. By the end of the phone call, that app could have a wrapper built around the basic functionality and be able to use in our marketplace of other apps. That's unheard of. Our best competitor doesn't even have that for 3 months to add a new app to the marketplace and make it available. We could do it on the demo call.
Wow. I was going to say, this sounds like something that is not readily available right now. The solutions that you guys are bringing to the tech world.
There's nothing that I have seen that comes close, and we are racing to stay ahead of that. But I'll tell you, our best competitor, the most advanced, the most well-funded, takes 3 months to do for one of our customers when they were comparing us, to do what we did in the demo call within 45 minutes. We had their entire integration set up for them with an app that I've never heard of. And by the end of the call, we built the workflow and connected it to Sage Intacct live in the demo call.
Wow.
With their data that they authenticated on our platform. So yeah, there is nothing out there that I've seen. If there's anybody out there listening that has something, let me know. Hats off to you. But yeah, it's very exciting. If we wanted to, we could scrape the net for every API documentation, just roll through them, build the wrappers,
Right.
add it to the dashboard, add it to the platform. We're not doing that right now, but we're doing it based on paid customers. You want your thing done, let us know what it is, we'll add it in. But as we grow, we're just going to keep just anything people need or adding it to the platform. Anybody who's listening who has any software that has an API or that we can have a direct database access to, we can have that incorporated in the platform pretty rapidly.
I think that is so amazing. And you mentioned that problem where nothing talks to each other. We definitely have felt that creeping in as we've really expanded our tech stack. And one thing that I wanted to kind of go a little kind of deep into, because I think a lot of our listeners are on Aspire platform or a similar platform, some type of business management tool in the landscape or trades industry, is that exact thing is Aspire. And it's been a common complaint I get from Aspire users or potential Aspire users is, well, I want to have Aspire, but I want it to talk to my financial software that, maybe it doesn't have a built-in integration for yet. And, for right now it's QuickBooks and Acumatica, I think. And let's say we want to go with some totally new product that's off the shelf, just got created, AI-based software to do our financials, but it doesn't have a built-in connection with Aspire. So how would you guys go about solving that problem where our finance software and our Aspire system are not necessarily talking to each other?
Well, first, I would say we've already solved that for 25% of the top 20 Aspire companies, and done exactly that with their financials, I'll just rattle off a few: Paylocity, Paycor, Sage, or all the ERPs, Sage Intacct, NetSuite, Microsoft 365, Business Central, Dynamics, literally anything that we've come across, a bunch of brand new ones in the last couple months. But they are automating financial processes, invoicing, purchasing, payroll, HR, onboarding, offboarding, like a UKG integrations where you need to, handle all that side of things with Aspire. So many different systems. We have these things called recipes, which it's not our trade secret, but it is something I wanted to share that is something that people can try on MindCloud. We have these recipes where you can literally create a free account on MindCloud, see everything that we've connected to already, plug it into your Aspire account. As long as you've got the API access for Aspire, you could try plugging it into anything, ADP, UKG, Paylocity, Paycor. Like, we have 400 already pre-built apps. You can just go play around with it and build a workflow. Pull my vendors and sync them with this. Some simple customers just want to, every time a new vendor is loaded over here in Aspire, or vice versa. Or, HubSpot is becoming more and more popular.
Yeah. Oh, HubSpot's big. And that's something we've been leaning into. So I'll just hit on that real quick. So I'll put the link in the show notes for this, but I would encourage anyone listening to go play around with this and go to the link in the show notes and create a free account and try something out. And so, for example, a workflow, let's say every time a new customer is created, we wanted to send them an email of like, hey, welcome to the, K&D family. We're so excited to have you here. Here's some of the things you can expect. Our goal is to earn your business for a lifetime, not just a job site. could I mean, is that pretty easy to set up? I'm imagining so, but is that a good example?
You could do that yourself. So
That's cool.
if you wanted to start Fire every time a new contact or company or property is added, you can have an email fire out. So on MindCloud, it would be a trigger would be how often do you want it to run? If Aspire had webhooks, it would be instant, but Aspire doesn't have webhooks, but they do have, you can request the data as often as you want. So you can say every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, check for new customers. At any time there is, then send this email, and you could use any email software or directly in MindCloud. We have a little email on any of the workflow steps. You can fire an email. So you could literally have it be like a 2 or 3 step flow. Check for new customers. If it's new, send email. Run it every 10 minutes and you're done. And now you got an automation that just dramatically increase your customer experience. You can have that for anything that happens in Aspire. You can say when the opportunity is won, do the same thing. When the opportunity is lost, maybe send a survey out the instant that it's lost and say, what happened? What did we do wrong? Anyway, you get the idea that your imagination is the only limit to what you can do. If you can think about it and you're like, oh yeah, what if we could do blah? Somebody the other day wanted to, we're partners with Company Cam. They wanted to sync their Company Cam project photos with Aspire and have it send out on an invoice. So they were like, I would really like it to be like this. And we hadn't built that for Company Cam yet. This is something new that this customer wanted. And then their imagination, and then all of a sudden, boom, boom. Now every time they send out an invoice, the customer has a link to their entire Company Cam project photo gallery. And we don't have to move the photos into Aspire. They're just getting a little link to that public project view. Anyway, somebody had that idea. I didn't have that idea. And now, so anyway, anybody listening, you have no limit on your imagination. Anything that you can think would be a way that you can automate, scale, make things run better, increase your customer experience. Do it. Just like, don't think that technology is going to hold you back anymore, because it doesn't. I would challenge anybody to throw at me examples that you think are impossible to solve, and I would bet money that we could solve them.
That is like the most exciting part of this whole conversation. Is you mentioned at the very beginning your like creative artistic background, and here we are on a podcast about trades, industries, and technology, and we're talking about how creative can you be, like how much imagination can you apply to your business, and then let's make it true. Let's make that happen. That is really exciting about the time we're in right now. Is never before that I know of have we been able to come up with any crazy idea possible, and then you're like, yeah, we could probably make that work. That's cool.
Yeah, no, it's so exciting. And as a CEO, it is really so empowering to know that you just need to put it out there. You don't have to do what everybody else did. You don't have to do what your predecessor did. You can be the one that breaks that cycle and makes something huge. You want to 10x, you want to 100x your business, you can do it. There's no stopping you now. From taking AI and like automating manual processes, you don't need to replace staff, but you can make staff way more productive by taking the things that they're doing that are repetitive, mundane, tedious, that they probably don't enjoy doing anyway, because it's demeaning. If you're a human being and you're doing something that a robot could do, why don't you learn how to do something a robot can't do and replace whatever you were doing with a robot? It's just like,
buy into this 100%. And never before has the playing field been so even, or fair, should I say, because in the past, those who had the big data sets and those who had staff to analyze that data at a deep level, multi-billion-dollar corporations, they have teams that all they do is analyze data, and that's why they're able to be 3 steps ahead on the chessboard of business. Yeah. But today, you can have 5, 10 employees. You can be empowered with MindCloud and have that data and integrate everything to where you have the same decision-making capabilities as a multi-billion-dollar company. And that's why you're saying, yeah, you can 100x your business, because the only limitation is your imagination and your desire to grow, which is why I believe in today's world, you really can't dream big enough when you're setting goals. And this is coming out the beginning of January here. And it's like, when you're setting goals, you should be setting really, really large goals. If you're listening to this, I think you want to grow. If you want to grow, because the opportunity is there. The opportunity is endless. So, on that note, I mean, I'd love to hear kind of where you guys are thinking of taking your company. You mentioned you have some big plans for 2026. I don't want you to reveal too many secrets here, but what's the vision for MindCloud as we look forward into the future of this super exciting hyperscale environment?
So first of all, MindCloud has tangible goals for 2026, financial goals. We have a good plan for that. It's really more what I want to talk about is where we want to be in the market for this. How are we going to stay ahead of getting gobbled up by AI? The big problem that MindCloud is solving that isn't really being solved out there right now. This is helping people that are non-technical users how to do the thing that their goal, their vision, the thing that they're trying to do without becoming just a consultant. Because, it's going to cost too much money to say, hey, all right, what do you want? Let's work it out. Here's billable hours for, 20, 30, 40 hours, and then they'll never do it anyway. So how do we solve this problem where somebody says, I got this problem, I'm doing this thing, and I want to do this thing. And we can take that with what we built and with what we're building, which is making it even more automated, gathering the intent, not the technical way, but the intent. What do they want? What would you feed into ChatGPT if you said, this is what I'm trying to do, and here are the problems that I have, and here's the end goal? How do we even automate the questioning process so that the customer will think of the right answers of what they want? That's the biggest problem, is getting somebody to even name what they want. So part of our big plans for 2026 is fully automating this initial step, which can be the make or break of an integration project, naming what do you actually want. So helping customers do that themselves, where it doesn't take paid hours, doesn't take consultants or professional services team to do that, where you can just be prompted and guided and use an AI agent to kind of prompt you back if you didn't give enough data, and work until you've got that blueprint that is a buildable blueprint. Now you can take that buildable blueprint, feed that to an agent that proposes the workflow for you. So imagine that whole process. Because, what we've been doing secretly behind the scenes is every single component of MindCloud as an agent running in the background, listening, observing, learning. So, and we've only launched some products that show this off, but so far it's just been an internal kind of behind the scenes project. But the goal of this is every single step that our team of white glove integration specialists, everything that they're doing is in a prompt version that's readable by AI. So all that information is being gathered so that you can take the input and take that structure that our team of experts are building and the live production ready output of that working integration, and then have that knowledge be just able to be built inside of a natural language conversation, all the way through testing, validation, go live, the whole thing. So this is a very hard problem that is kind of a lot of platform companies out there don't solve. They have just another team paid to help companies build what they want. So we eliminate that third party where you have to pay someone to build. And we basically have, you pay one price to MindCloud for whatever you want. And then right now we have kind of an AI assisted model where we help you, we prompt you, but then we also are building it for you. And it's moving into the more and more, we help you, we prompt you, we assist, and we also show you what we propose is the build right there while you're talking to the point where imagine you're on a sales call and your workflow is listening. The AI agent is listening to your sales call, and on the screen, you're seeing it build the thing out for you. And at the end of the call, it's like, good, you want to test this? Put in your Aspire API key and boom, run, and you're done by the.
Wow. And that call is your vision is the customer is going to be working directly with an AI agent or multiple agents to go through that entire process so that your cost of delivery is much lower than you having to work with, a sales team, an onboarding team, a go live team, an integration team. You get, mixed up with all these people, which are great, but you could have maybe like one key account manager and then all the AI agents like helping to solve the customer's needs in the moment live in front of you. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And people are going to want real people to talk to always. So a big selling point of MindCloud is we automate internally. Like I mentioned, there's 30 or 40 AI agents that are running in the background, helping us do our job so that we can spend more time helping the customer, being on live support, debugging things with them as needed. But some pretty large landscaping companies, they're learning on our platform internally so they can just build their own workflows, automate their own things. And our role is moving to coach, trainer instead of developer, builder. So pretty soon, all these companies are just going to be building their own, especially with more and more of these AI agent tools implemented, to the point where you don't have to be a top 25% of the landscaping world to have that kind of experience. You can be a mom and pop shop that just opened up and have that full automation AI capability that, like your Amazons of the world have, where they have millions and millions of dollars to spend with all this data. Imagine that level of foresight and automation and all that. If everybody had the same power out the gate, it'd be different.
It would be so different. And imagine what happens when you click a button in Amazon. Okay, order this thing. You order that thing. I mean, imagine how many different, automatic triggers happen when you click that button within the Amazon ecosystem. And if you could replicate something similar to that, where you have an online buying experience for your services, and then you're able to have all these triggers that happen after that buying experience is completed, it would just streamline and speed up this process. And so do you think we're going to see more and more trades companies and landscape companies create positions similar to the one we created with Sean on our team, who is the manager of innovation and technology? Like, his full-time job is kind of doing exactly what you're saying at K&D, is finding, ways to integrate and automate technology.
Absolutely. We're getting more and more directors of irrigation turning into directors of integration. And we work with a lot of these guys they're the bright thinkers, and they're going to be the ones that are implementing those AI automation tools. Yeah, we have a lot of really great partners that are doing this. But it part of the benefit when you use MindCloud, you can automate your time. So if you're that guy in the company who wants to do it, automate yourself out of what you're doing so you could go take that role if it doesn't exist. I had a company who, not in landscaping, they are in health and wellness. They were spending 4 or 5 hours a day handling error messages. This is a highly paid IT guy handling error messages because their orders weren't flowing in or always had different exceptions that they had to handle, wrong addresses, incomplete, blah, blah, blah. We fully automated their process. That guy, who was spending 4 or 5 hours, highly paid IT guy, went from being that guy handling errors all day. He just got promoted to head of AI for his company. So he's now spending 15 minutes a day with MindCloud, looking at the thousands of orders that flow in. The rest of his day, he's going department to department, automating, building in workflows, streamlining processes, adding AI agents. So yeah, you can, anybody who wants to, just automate yourself out of your job until you have that position.
That's such great advice. And I totally agree with that. Is like, if you're in a position where you're not the owner of the company, you can still have so much influence on the direction, because you have to take that first step to then automate what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so a good example of this is an account manager in a landscape company. And everyone says, well, account managers, they're always in front of clients. Like, it's all about the human connection. And so I started auditing like people in our community, the disruptors. I started doing surveys and asking people how long their account managers were spending in front of clients. And it was just a simple, fill out this form every week. How long did you guys spend in front of clients? Yeah. And it's realizing it's like typically less than 10% of their time is face-to-face. Wow. 90% of their time is emails, driving, phone calls, and just putting out fires, which are a number of those, whether it's emails, phone call, text, Teams, Slack, whatever. So much inbound communication, especially if you manage commercial or HOAs, you get a lot of issues that come through. Yeah. And you're dealing with those issues, but you're not like proactively going and meeting with clients very often. And so what we're trying to do is say, hey, if the most valuable thing an account manager can do is be face-to-face with a client, how do we get that to be 80% of their job? And how do we automate the 90% that they're spending time in? We've been working on this problem, and we're nowhere near solving it, but we're like eating away at it to the point where most of our account managers are managing 2 or 3x the amount of revenue than we were managing as an account manager like 5 years ago. And I see that increasing for sure in the future, but that's just an example of an opportunity we have where when you start really auditing the time of your team, you're going to find so much waste. And it's all menial things that are like admin level, like nothing against admin, but when you're responding to emails and you're in front of a computer typing, that's not a $120,000 a year task. But when you're meeting with clients and selling and walking them through and solving, very complex horticultural problems, that is a $150,000, $200,000 task. So how do we get them into that role 80% of the time? And so that's one of the things that we're trying to solve, is like, how do we get our account managers more FaceTime?
Yeah, I love that. That's such a good immediate ROI use case of everything that I'm passionate about as well. Like a guy who's on sales should be selling. He should be in front of someone. He should be that, the thing that he's good at. And oftentimes they're not that great at the admin.
No, they aren't.
So, but I mean, if we took like, that could be a whole company just going area to area, just analyzing what you're doing when you're not talking to people and just chunking away how you can automate it, how you can streamline it. Do you have to have, like, does it need to be, like a personally crafted thing if you're just acknowledging the meeting or you're sending a summary? Why don't you have, a note taker automate that and send your summary out, or whatever the things could be? There's got to be, you just have to use your imagination. Look for those things that are repetitive. What are you doing the same of that there's an A, B, or C, like if this, then that, if this, then that. You have to start thinking like a computer. If you can kind of shift that and look at what are you doing that's repetitive? What are you doing that you don't like to do that is tedious? Any kind of manual data entry, any moving data between systems, sharing information one place to another, reports, reporting, that kind of stuff. You just start thinking like every single one of those things could be automated. And one thing I wanted to say just on that, it's not just AI. Like a lot of people get this mixed up. They think, the hype is everything is AI. I got to implement AI in my job. Let's take a step back. Automation is automation. It's existed for 20, 30, 40 years. Automation is, let's figure out how to move this thing from here to there automatically. We don't need to have an AI plugged on top to say every time, every time an Aspire lead comes in, send an email. There's no AI there. It's just an automation. So like the first layer is automate your processes. Find repetitive things and then have the imagination to think it's possible that it could be automated. Even if you are making a decision, it is possible. You get an email in that has an upset customer, you can use AI there and how to read the email and say, is this happy customer or a sad customer? If it's a sad customer, route it there. If it's a happy customer, route it there. One big enterprise customer, they're having us just put an AI on top of an email inbox and route things to the right people that they previously had full-time people reading thousands of emails, deciding where it should go. That's a great use of AI. But, like not everything has to be AI. Like first layer, there's automating things, just connecting your systems, automating processes. Then you can have incredibly powerful AI layered on top. But if you don't have your stack connected, whoa, that's like the first thing, which unfortunately many huge companies still don't have their stacks connected. Once you have your stacks connected, then automate everything possible. And then let's talk about how you can put AI on top of that.
Gosh, that is so good. I really am soaking up this advice because we are all racing to implement AI so we can say we're an AI company. We implemented AI. But it's like if you can't do the basics, right? Like I talk about this in being healthy, right? It's like if you can't have a good diet and get 7+ hours of sleep every night and do 30 minutes of exercise, then like don't worry about all the vitamins and all of that other like next level stuff. Like just do the basics, like eat well, sleep well, and move your body every day. And everybody's working on like TRT and all this crazy stuff. And it's like, just do the basics. And I think that's kind of what I think of when you're explaining this is let's look at the most fundamental basic things we do every day. And this has to be way outside of the CEO's office. This has to be a company-wide ground troops mission. Everybody needs to be involved in this and asking, hey, whenever you have to do something that seems like I do this every day or I do this every week and I have an SOP that I follow, ask that question, can we automate this? And I think the answer in most cases is like, yes, if you're following an SOP, if this, then that, we can automate and then connect everything. Like what you're saying has resonated with me because we have so much things that we have going on. For example, you mentioned the note taker, whether it's a AI note taker or something that you take on meetings. Well, then what do you do with those notes? You take them, you upload them into ChatGPT or something, and you ask it to summarize it and make it into an email. You copy that, you paste it into an email, and you send it to the client. Well, that all could be automated, right? Like that could 100% be done without you having to lift a finger.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, that's a good use case for MindCloud. All that stuff would just be, a little trigger. When the meeting finishes, it automatically drops it over here, then it drops it there, and then it sends your email. That would be like a 4-step little workflow that you could do. But that's great. That's perfect example.
It's simple, right? So I want to ask this question, Jamie, because this is like a question I have in my head. Where would be a case where MindCloud would not be able to help a landscape or a trades business in automating or improving their system that provides a positive ROI? Like, where would that not apply? Because right now it's just like it's a no-brainer that every company should be working with you at even the smallest level. But where would it maybe not work?
The only area that I would say it would be difficult, and it's not that it can't work because we've done this, but systems that are not on the internet at all. They're not connected to the cloud. They're homegrown little systems, maybe, legacy apps or legacy tools that a team uses, and they don't have it connected or touching any internet. We've still worked around that and done like FTP drops that then a local system like consumes and then processes and does some kind of fancy thing. But that, if you're dealing with something like that, you already have the wrong mindset. You should be modernizing your stack. Like, come on. If you're not doing something with, why are you trying to automate something if you're still using a 30-year-old tool to do something? Let's modernize that, and maybe you don't even need the automation.
Right. Yeah. Let's do that first, and then get it up and running. But I think at this point, most companies that are growing and successful are pretty well established and connected to the internet with their tech stack. And even if their tech stack's small, like it seems like there's opportunities here to integrate and automate. And when we have done that, one thing that I've seen a positive from this is we can give everybody a raise in our team. Everyone gets paid more money and we don't have to hire another person. Yeah. So and this is a good, like we've gone from 10 million to 20 million in the last 5-ish years. And we've gone from 120 to 130 employees in that same time period. And everybody's making, I mean, our salary cost and our payroll has gone up a little bit, actually quite a bit, but we haven't added more bodies necessarily. And that is something that I see almost like this exponential curve on, where we see our revenue per employee right now, say it's about 150,000. We see our revenue per employee on an annual basis getting up into $1 million of revenue per employee with like specifically automation, a little bit of robotics in the field, like robotic lawnmowers and stuff. But on the back end, automation is going to be everything. So I'm excited to see what we can do. I like
what you just said. I think that if owners took that mindset of like, let's not try to, automate and prevent hiring and then have more profit for the owners. Like if you had a company-wide incentive kind of built in, like everybody, if you can make your little universe more efficient, there's an ROI for you. Like why would they do it? If they're happy copying and pasting all day, their pay stays the same. Why do they want to learn a new tool and a thing that's going to make you more money? The way you said it is a great, just, if everybody just kind of took that, I think you'd have automation adoption and everybody's going to win so much faster because it's going to cost you a lot less than hiring 10, 20 more staff that could do what those existing staff got their pay raises for. I think that's brilliant.
It kind of happened a little bit on purpose, a little bit on accident. We kind of stumbled into this and in one way, like, it was kind of painful because we as a company had to show the team we were willing to invest in both automation and increasing pay at the same time, which did compress profits in the short term. And we're just kind of coming out of that profit compression and we're starting to see a big return on that. But if you wait and you're like, hey, we're going to automate all this stuff and then we're going to make a bunch of money and then we're going to give our team a raise, I feel like you lose credibility and you lose your team's engagement. If you automate a few things and then you give everybody nice raises and then what you see is all of a sudden they start automating a bunch more stuff. But you as a company, you as a leader, you kind of have to go first in this cycle and you have to make a bet. And you have to make a bet in both partnering with technology companies like MindCloud and make a bet in increasing wages. And hopefully the result of that is a winning hand and you get your whole team engaged around automation, which I think we're on the brink of. And I think 2026 is going to be the year where we really go deep into more automations. I'm excited for it. And I think what you guys are doing is a huge unlock. And I bet MindCloud is just like, I bet you guys are going to be 30 million in ARR in the next few years. I could see you guys exploding. It's exciting.
One thing for 2026, for anybody listening, whether you're going to get pay raises because your companies are investing in AI, or you just want to actually take care of yourself and make sure that you don't get swallowed up by AI's reducing headcount. You hear that. How many times you hear that? AI is going to replace headcount. How you can prevent that and prepare yourself against that is one, learning how. Do a simple thing. Every single person listening, get a ChatGPT account, get a Claude, Grok, Gemini account, and start using it. Use it every day. Just ask it questions. Start getting comfortable interacting with AI. It's still, even today, I mean, Justin, I'm sure for you as well, how many people aren't using these tools like you and I are using them?
It's crazy. I prepared for our podcast today. I talked to it for 15 minutes verbally, just like, hey, tell me about Jamie. Tell me about MindCloud. What's some new stuff? Tell me about their website. And it was a great conversation. I felt very prepared walking into this because of the relationship I have with my ChatGPT. It's awesome.
If that's one thing that the no question, the skill that is going to take any employee and put them in a more powerful position in 2026. Learn how to use these tools, whether it's for your job or your next job. You're going to become so much more valuable, and learn how to automate things. It's not just AI. It's like we were talking about. The layer before that is automation. If you don't know about automation, if you don't know that it's possible, like find out, use ChatGPT. Say, hey, can I automate this? Every day you're doing something you don't like. Tell AI, say, hey, I'm doing this thing. This is what I did. Can it be automated? How would I automate it? Good. Send an email to MindCloud with this request. Boom.
Yeah, that's such a good example. I've definitely, I'm coming away from this with the intention of going back and spending some time in this area, because I feel like we've kind of jumped ahead to AI, but we need to back up a little bit to automating things, because that's the low hanging fruit from what I'm hearing.
Oh, so much. AI is great for marketing and PR. It's great for those use cases like you brought up, salespeople, things that can drive ROI, lead scoring, various things. But don't sweat it. Just if you actually are trying to scale and get ROI from your company, do the low hanging fruit now. AI will come. You can layer on top of AI, but I use this analogy, AI is like the brain. All right. You got a body, you're trying to walk down the street, your brain is the AI. If your arm doesn't talk to your leg, if your appendix doesn't talk to your blah, if your body parts don't talk to each other, your brain is not going to have an easy time getting you to walk down the street. So let's start by connecting all the parts of your organization together before we worry about putting an AI on top and having intelligence. You don't have any intelligence if you're not even connecting your body parts together yet. So that's kind of the message is, let's first get your stack connected. Let's automate what we can. And then let's do some magical things with AI instead of just some PR fluff marketing, oh my God, my company's using AI. We're so awesome. But then look at you compared to a company that's automated their whole tech stack and hasn't put any AI. You're going to be quickly like, oh, yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah. Cart before the horse here. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Totally. Well, there's been so many great nuggets in today's show, Jamie. I just would like to end the show and ask for our signature question of, what is your trade secret on the podcast here? What is something that you've learned over your years? I mean, you've kind of given a few here, but how would you like to wrap this up?
Well, for me, this applies not just to MindCloud, not just to personally, friends and family, but literally all life. This trade secret has been a winner for me. So this is always do more than the other person either paid you for, expected you to do, or anything else. So if you're in a job and you got paid $1,000 to mow the lawn and do this project, do the little extra, do it a little faster, do it a little bit more than the guy who paid you expected. Leave him with that abundance, and you're going to be successful no matter what you do. Whether it's on your anniversary and you not only remembered, but you did the extra thing and you treated her really nice and blew her away. She's going to be left with, oh my God, that was like way more than I expected he was going to do. If you did that and operated like that across all aspects of your life, that is not only trade secret for business owner, but you'll be successful across your whole universe.
That is awesome. I completely subscribe to that as well. And it's an easy thing too.
Yeah. No, but that's definitely in MindCloud. We do that. Like, people pay for something. I always want to make sure they're left with, I paid for that and I feel like I got more than I paid for. Or like, wow, they actually did it faster. There was more communication. They cared for it, not just, after it was live, but, 2 years later, they're still like caring about making sure this thing is running. And when I call them, they still pick up the phone and help me, or they didn't charge me because I sent in a support ticket, or things like that. It's not a transactional, like, I paid you this and I got this. How about, let's see what we can do that doesn't make your company not profitable, but you'll soon find that your customers are just growing and growing. Word of mouth will just be crazy and everything else. So
that's incredible. Well, I will say, working with your team and talking with your team, that culture, that element that you just shared is definitely been shared and adopted throughout your company. And that's really hard to do. So congratulations on that from a founder, CEO to CEO. That's amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for being on the show, man. And I'll put a link in the show notes to the MindCloud website if you guys want to go on and create a free account, check out some of those recipes, some of those pre-built workflows. What's the best way to get a hold of you, Jamie, if someone wanted to reach out and ask some questions or talk further about what you guys have got going on?
Best is just hit us up on our website, mindcloud.co. There's a big button in the center. You'll talk to a real person. It'll be, me, one of my salespeople, Sam, Tyler. We got a really great team. We'll give you a live demo. We'll show you how some Aspire integrations look. If you want our white glove service, it's very transparent pricing. We do everything for you. We set it up, build it, manage it, and make sure it does what you want. Or you can do it yourself and just use all the tools that we have. And then you basically just pay. There's a free, each month, 100 tasks every month. You can use it forever for free. Or you go above that, you pay a small monthly fee to use the platform yourself. So, and if you do that, we have a public Slack channel with our devs who can help you, support you on your journey of building yourself. So that would be great. And I hope to see you in there. Definitely love helping new people learn and build their own integrations.
So cool. Well, it's awesome that you created that. It's so much more than just a service. You're building a community. And I don't see any reason why every listener should not go and create an account and take advantage of some of the free resources that you guys are putting out there. So thank you for doing that and just for giving so much away. And like, it goes back to your trade secret. Like you said, it's give more than people expect to receive and you'll always be successful.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Right.
Been great to meet you. Awesome podcast. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jamie. Thanks for being on. And guys, we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to Trades Talk, where the next generation of disruptors comes to raise the bar. If you got value from today's episode, share it with someone in the trades who's ready to level up. For more tools, insights, and community, follow host Justin White and join the movement at jwhitegroup.com.